You're probably wondering, how do I become a better AI application engineer? How do I become a better AI developer or a better AI architect? The field is changing so rapidly, and sometimes you might feel helpless and you might feel like you're struggling to catch up. In this particular video, we're going to talk about the mindset you need to have, the tools you have to be aware of, and the skill sets you have to be very comfortable with in order to succeed as an AI engineer in this new season. Now, my name is Israel Ekbo, and I'm the chief architect at easyacademy.ai. I have spent the past 18 years as a software engineer building applications, building data pipelines. 15 of those years have been focused in guiding teams, guiding other engineers and developers as an architect. And in the last 8 years, I have dedicated majority of my career in building and designing artificial intelligence applications and services, and also supporting different organizations and developers and architects to do the same. So I have trained over several thousands of architects and developers, and I've also supported and consulted several organizations in the hundreds to do the same in these last 8 years when it comes to AI application development and design. In this particular video, I'm going to focus on the mindset you need to have, the skill sets you need to have, and the tools you have to be aware of to thrive in this season as an architect, as a developer, as an engineer focused on building artificial intelligence applications for production deployment on Microsoft Azure. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, starting with the mindset. Everything starts with your mind. If you believe that you can do something, you're going to be able to accomplish that. If you believe that you cannot do it, you are definitely going to fail, and you have a very high probability of failing, even though you're doing the activities that are in line with what you are thinking about doing. So having a very positive mindset, having a mindset that supports you completing any objective you set your mind to is very, very important. So everything starts with your mindset, and that is the first thing I want to focus on. So having a very positive mindset and believing that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to do is what you need to be successful in this season. Another thing, if you've paid attention, is that this industry and this particular space is changing extremely rapidly. The infrastructure, the different architectures, the different chips that are supporting these services at the foundational level is changing very rapidly. Those capabilities are expanding and the options are increasing as well. You also have the language models, open source and proprietary, that are changing and increasing capability, multimodal models and things like that. Then the agent frameworks, Pydantic AI, LangChain, LangGraph, Crew AI, semantic kernel, AutoGen, all these different frameworks where we can use to build agents are rapidly increasing in capabilities and flexibility. So this space is changing a lot, and you have to have the mindset of never feeling that you have arrived and you have mastered everything, because you will never master everything. So have the mindset of being a continuous student, and have an open mindset and be flexible to change and to adapt and to continue to learn. That's what you need to do if you think and if you want to be successful as an AI architect, developer, or engineer in this new season. So the mindset is very important. You have to believe that you can accomplish, and you have to have an open mind and learn continuously, and never have the mentality that you have arrived at any point in time, no matter how long you have been doing what you think you are doing. So that's very important, and that is something that I do, and it really helps me to stay in touch with what is happening. Now, moving away from the mindset, we're going to go to the tool set now. If you've noticed, majority of the frameworks, SDKs and APIs are developed in Python. So There are four languages that I'm going to recommend for you to zero in, and they're going to come in this order. So Python is the first one. Some of the frameworks are also built in JavaScript. So if you look at LangChain and OpenAI, they have frameworks that are developed in Python first, and then JavaScript. And then Microsoft has some other frameworks that are built in C# and Java. So those are the main languages you have to focus on. If you don't have skill in that space, I want you to start with Python. I want you to move to JavaScript, because the backend and the front end of some of these user interfaces are developed with JavaScript, and then C# and then Java, because some of the frameworks are designed in those languages. Now, even if you don't understand these four languages, I would like you to zero in on JSON schemas and the HTTP protocol. If you pay attention, you're going to see that several of these language models, whether it's open source or proprietary, interact with their end clients in any language like Rust or C++, with HTTP. So understanding the headers, the different request and response headers that those services provide and consume, understanding the different request methods, the get, put, post, delete, that allows you to interact with these endpoints to retrieve and to send data to those systems. It's very important for you to understand how those work, as well as the data structure for the request contents that are coming back or that you have to send to them using put or post request methods. Now, if you pay attention, you will also see that JSON schemas are the primary mechanism in which these language models are communicating with their clients. So the service expects and sends back JSON, and this is something I have to master. So JSON schemas are very important, particularly when you are sending data back and forth, as well as something called a tool or function calling. So this allows you to specify the exact data structure that the language model expects to receive input from, and also the exact data structure that the client wants the language model to reply or to respond to them. So understanding JSON schemas is very, very important, and it's something that you have to master. Now, moving on from HTTP and JSON schema, the next thing in the toolset I like you to focus on is the data stores. So we have relational stores, document stores, we have key value stores, graph stores, object stores, vector databases, and some of these queuing platforms and messaging systems. So this area is very, very important in the data pipeline aspect of building applications and agents. So you have to really understand how these different data stores work, so that you don't use and you don't attempt to use just one database to solve all your problems. So relational databases typically are used to store different entities, and you can use structured query language, SQL or SQL, to manipulate these data sets to create, retrieve, update, and remove records from the data stores. You also have document stores. You have key value stores that are used in caching. So things like Memcache, Redis is used to keep track of things like the chat messages that are happening inside the language model or the virtual assistant that you're interacting with, or the chatbot. So that conversation is being tracked using something like a key value store to do that. The graph stores allows you to define relationships between different records, and the graph is very useful for doing this. You may hear of a new strategy called GraphRag that is allowing you to query databases much more effective than even vector stores. So graph stores are very important. And then some of these object stores like Blob Store or Azure Data Lake Store can be used to keep track of large documents or large files like images and videos and things like that. So understanding how to interact with those object stores like Blob Store or Azure Data Lake Store is very, very important as an AI engineer for the data pipeline phase of this. And then a lot of times you may have like a flood of information coming to the language model or coming to the services. So having the understanding of using queuing strategies or messaging strategies like event hubs, like service bus, like Kafka is very, very important, so that you don't overwhelm the system, and you can have a mechanism or a design of asynchronously queuing up this information and then retrieving it later one at a time to process it at the rate in which the service or the language model is able to handle. So that's one of the tool sets I want you to be very familiar with and very comfortable with. Now we have the tools that keep track of the information. Then we need to understand the different data pipelines strategies that you can use. Azure Functions is one of the strategies I want you to pay attention to and do a deep dive into, because it has mechanisms that allows you to watch what is happening at the different data stores and then reply or respond, take action when things are happening at those data stores. So Azure Function is very, very good. Azure Stream Analytics is also very good. Apache Spark, Azure Data Factory is very helpful in setting up these pipelines, because one thing you have to understand with language models, with AI agents, with AI application, is that if your data is garbage, then whatever you're thinking about building is going to be garbage. So this part is probably even more important than the vector store or the language model, or using a very advanced AI framework, AI agent framework. So I want you to pay attention to the data pipeline because it's very, very crucial. And then we have the infrastructure. So knowing how to use Azure Functions, knowing how to use Azure Kubernetes, knowing how to use API management, Azure Container Apps is very, very important, because you have to master this infrastructure to understand the different scenarios in which you may choose to deploy an Azure function, an Azure App Service, or a Docker image or container on Kubernetes. So what are the different scenarios in which you choose a particular strategy over another one? And if you would like to do a deep dive on this particular topic, please let me know and I will do a deep dive into that. Now, besides the infrastructure, we also have the AI services. So the language models, like the Azure OpenAI language model, the document intelligence service that allows you to extract fields from documents, the speech service, the translator service, the vision service, the Azure content safety service, all the services, all the different AI services that you can use to enhance your application is something you have to do a deep dive into. Now, all of this is good, but when you write your code, you have to find somewhere to store it. So if you're not familiar with the different version control mechanisms that are available, take a look at GitHub, take a look at GitHub Actions, take a look at any version control system that your company or your team is looking to use, because this allows you to work in a team environment to keep track of what is changing, to roll back, to roll forward, all those different strategies. Get very familiar with version control and Git, because it will help you if you understand how all those different things work. And then second to the last, we have the integrated development environment. So this is the editor that allows you to write your code. So I use VS Code. I also use different IDEs from JetBrains. So if I'm doing Java, I use IntelliJ. If I'm doing JavaScript or TypeScript, I use WebCharm. I think that's what they call it. And then if I'm doing Python, I can use PyCharm or I can use VS Code. Now, you have to be familiar with this. Pick a tool that you're comfortable with. Pick an IDE that you're very comfortable with, and know how to debug code with it, know how to write code, know how to use syntax highlighting, and all those different things that come with the tool, because this is what you're going to use to create and to modify and maintain the code that you're building. So that was the different tool sets I wanted you to be very familiar with. And finally, the skill set has to do with communication and problem solving. So making sure that whatever is in your head, you're able to communicate to your customer, to your team, to anyone that you're building these applications for is very important. Being able to pay attention and listen to what your team or what your customer or what your client is asking is also very important. A lot of times we tend to want to just dump everything that we know to the customer or to the colleague, but sometimes that is not very helpful because you end up overwhelming the person. So always try to pay attention to what the person is asking for before you start to dump your content on them. This is a very important part of communication that over the years I have come to realize that this is actually what is very important. So even if you know 7,000 things, just pay attention to the 2 things that your client or your teammate is asking and focus on that. You only start to bring in other things if they are going to be a better foundation to explain the 2 things that they are looking to understand or to get your help in. So don't always try to show off and dump everything you know on the person you're trying to communicate with, because it is not helpful and it's not communication. And then have the mindset of being a problem solver. Like I said in the mindset part, this particular skill is something that you have to really zone in on. Have the ability to solve problems, because in the end that's what you're going to be hired for, that's what you're going to be brought into the team to do. So communication is very important, and that's probably one of the most important skills that we need to have when looking to become successful as a developer. So put comments in your code, write good documentation, be a good listener so that you can communicate your ideas effectively to your audience and whoever you're trying to interact with. So that is all I have to say in this video. This is a very exciting season. A lot of things are happening. We are now talking every day about language models, agent frameworks, AI agents, and all those different things. And I feel that this particular video would help you to get ready for what is about to come in the near future. Now, if you like this particular content and you think it was helpful, please like the video and try to help other people by sharing this video with them. And if you would like to be notified of similar content in the future, please do subscribe. And if you want to go deeper into building AI agents, building agent systems and agentic systems, I have an online membership that is coming up soon. The link is going to be in the description. Please join the waiting list so that as soon as it is open for enrollment, you will be the first to find out. I really appreciate you stopping by to watch this video, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Thank you very much.